Hey, welcome to the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show. Coming to you live from the Salisbury Center Studios in Manassas, Virginia, on the Wylde Style Network, fueled by Monster Energy. I'm Kev, here with my bud Whisk. Woo-woo! How's it going?
In the saddle again.
Back in the saddle again.
Yes.
Live on a Wednesday.
Live on a Wednesday.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Like we're talking a little bit of an upcoming show in the sense of the local palooza.
Yep.
Like now that we're approaching July and the July 22nd show, which is featuring Jimmy's Chicken Shack as its headliner, along with 11 other acts. So a dozen acts happening that day. Big day here. Going to be very exciting. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day of music, and we're on the show today. We're going to be joined by Jimmy Haha of Jimmy's Chicken Shack.
Trying to get him in, man. We were a little late kicking off, so if you're watching live, because I know the live event invite went out because we've become so much more vibrant on social media, haven't we?
That is true, and we're on TikTok now.
We're on TikTok now also. Thanks to Mas Iona.
Thank you, Moss.
We've got a shout out to Mas Iona, who is our quasi-teenage publicist that has done leaps and bounds in terms of getting the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show message out.
Yes, there he is in the back of the studio hiding out. But yeah, so we're on TikTok, so you can follow us at Stand Up and Shout Rock Show on TikTok.
On TikTok.
Same as on Facebook.
Got to confess, man, I have never been on TikTok up until this moment.
No?
Have you?
I have.
Really?
Yes, I have a house full of TikTok fans.
Yeah,
so I'm constantly being passed links to videos of stuff that my family's been looking at on TikTok.
I've witnessed that. Like I've witnessed people going through the reels, I guess. Are they reels? I guess the reels are not on TikTok. They're on Facebook. Or is that a shared term? Everybody's nodding their head that they're called reels. So we're going to go with reels.
Instagram is the reels.
That's the social media publicist Mas Iona that just chimed in and said Instagram is the reels.
But I've also taken a look at Adam and the Metalhawks, their TikTok page.
Oh,
so
man, yes.
Most of their stuff is posted on TikTok. So after having them here,
they're behemoths, they're beasts on TikTok.
They are. Mm-hmm. Huge following. So one of the videos that we got posted was a share of snippets of that interview with them.
Yeah, we've had a lot of great interviews. I mean, we're kind of, Kevin, at the 6-month anniversary. We're at our half-year anniversary of our Stand Up and Shout Rock Show.
That is true.
Run. And right. So, like, as we're figuring this out, as we're figuring out TikTok, right, we're figuring out how to get the good stuff out because we've recorded a lot of great stuff already.
We have.
A lot of great conversations. So, like, I think, you know what I mean? In the early days, we're still in the early days, but in the very early days, we didn't have a grasp on how to get the message out. So we'll keep getting those interviews and those conversations that we've already had out because they're, you don't want to miss them.
Yeah. And, just after our last episode, a couple Wednesday nights ago, we did the spotlight on Metal Night here.
Yeah.
And we had some great conversation in the studio that night with a couple of bands.
It was a long day.
It was a long day, but a couple of really, really energetic new bands from around this area joined us, and that was fun.
Seculos. I've finally gotten used to saying that word.
There you go.
I'm not saying Sepultura. I'm saying Seculos.
Well, you can. It just wouldn't be right.
Right.
And Conjure.
Conjure was, those guys were a lot of fun.
They were, a ton of energy, put on a good show.
We learned that demons come from New Zealand.
Demons do come from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yes. And then Age of Ruin was with us as well.
Of course. We did a solid hour with Age of Ruins in our bottoms-up edition of Metallica rankings.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the other video that got posted this week was our What Are the Odds on the Foo Fighters?
What are the odds on the Foo Fighters?
So,
yeah.
Good stuff.
Rehashing a lot. And because those conversations are so very valid. We're seeing how they play out, seeing how our odds come to fruition.
Yes. And, it was interesting. I mentioned before we went on the air, I was helping move my daughter out of her apartment over this past weekend. So I flipped on the radio and in two different instances, about 20 minutes apart, both on 98 Rock, which is the radio station out of Baltimore here, and then DC 101, they played Rescued within 20 minutes of each other. Nice. So, and I don't usually listen to the radio.
There's that number one song.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's clearly in heavy rotation on AOR Rock Radio.
Yes. And it's number one on Rock Radio.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for it to get Billboard, classic Billboard number one.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Cool. But yeah, so a couple live shows we attended this past weekend.
Yes.
We'll bring up the one that I was at, which was the Lynch Mob.
Yes.
Which was a great show.
Yeah.
Gavin Evick, the Gavin Evick band, opened that show, and they were highly energetic and entertaining as always. And then George Lynch, which I enjoyed because I think I mentioned it on a previous show. I hadn't seen him since Monsters of Rock in '88.
Wow.
So
that's a long stretch.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And, he did a good mix. They have a new album, which they announced the release date during that show. So it's October the 23rd. Mm-hmm. They're releasing a new album called Babylon. Mm-hmm. Played a couple of tracks off of that and mixed in some of the older Lynch Mob tunes and some couple of deep track Dokken tunes. Mm-hmm. So it was a great show.
I wanted George to join this show. I looked into that. He cost money. He was going to make us pay to talk to him. So
we didn't.
We didn't.
Maybe, the gist I got was...
How much did it cost?
I think he was looking for $2,500.
To call in?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
But it was, the tally ho was only about half full. Mm-hmm. So, we were...
Really?
Yeah, it was...
Wow, I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, I was very surprised when we walked in. We came in right after Gavin's and his band went on. Mm-hmm. And, it was a decent crowd. It really thinned out after that. I think some of that had to do with the fact that Pete Evick was playing down the road.
Yes.
And,
I like that to me is like the hottest night of the year. You know what I mean? Like not in terms of temperature, but in terms of just any type of activity. So obviously tons of live music events were happening on the last Saturday in June.
Yeah. So it thinned out a little bit after Gavin's band played and, but George put on a great show. He was very energetic, engaging with the audience. Uh-huh. A lot of conversation, kind of talking about things. And there were a couple guys standing behind myself and our buddy Eric Magruder, kept screaming every time there was a break, play Sleepless Nights, play Sleepless Nights. And, but they told it a really interesting
deep track. It's a Dokken deep track for those of you who don't know. Yeah, that's not a common song.
Yeah. Off of Back for the Attack.
Yeah.
And so George actually told an interesting story because when he heard these guys, the first time they yelled that, he started laughing at them. Uh-huh. And he turns, and I guess the new singer in Lynch Mob, Gabriel Cologne, young guy, great voice, kind of, wide range, kind of could sing just about anything that they were doing. And he laughed and he's like, this guy wasn't even born when that song was written. And so, I think we know that as being on Back for the Attack.
Yes.
Which came out when we were in high school, 87-ish, 87, 88. Yep. Mm-hmm. But then he told the story that he originally wrote that song back in 1979 when he was in the band Exciter.
Oh, wow.
Which was him and Mick Brown.
Yeah.
And then they left that band to form Dokken.
Wow.
And so they carried that song all that time and then put it out on Back for the Attack.
But it was not on the set list.
It was not on the set list.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I saw the set list. It was a good set list, a good mix.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
So that was a good show. And
Cool. So, did you have a preferred song on that set list? Jump out?
They played The Hunter, which was,
deep Dokken. Well, not as older. That was released as a single.
Yeah.
With a video.
So, I thought the new stuff was cool, but, he played 3 or 4 songs off of the Wicked Sensation album, which was good. And then all the Dokken tunes were great. When Heaven Comes Down, they played It's Not Love. So, I don't know that I had a favorite tune, but it was just a great show. They were awesome.
Right. And I love the Lynch Mob, but, kind of listening to the songs that you're bringing up, I've always said that Dokken is a very underrated band. I think they had success, but with that being said, they could have had more success. I've always enjoyed the Dokken albums that were put out back in the day, and so it's great to see. They're great to hear because we've had some mixed experiences going to, more recent Dokken shows. So that's not George Lynch and the Lynch Mob, but the actual, kind of like where Don Dokken is kind of sitting right now and his ability to continue performing. is slowed up, so to speak.
Sure.
It's not as strong as it used to be.
Well, and I was reading today, I think it was on ultimateguitar.com, that he's actually releasing a new album this coming year.
I think I remember hearing that too.
Yeah. I was like, whoa.
Right. Spoken word?
It might be.
Bill Shatner?
Yeah, a little.
In the style of?
Yeah, I'm not sure he can sing, at least not the way he used to, but
Right.
Maybe a little AI thrown in there and may sound like 88 again.
We haven't done the AI segment in a while.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, so we want to take a little break and see if we can get Jimmy Ha on the line.
Sounds good.
See what happens, over the next couple minutes and hopefully come back with another visitor.
Yeah.
Maybe. All right.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back on the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show. Welcome back to the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show, coming to you on the Wylde Style Network.
Fueled by Monster Energy.
There you go.
And RVRepairBear.com. Our friend.
Yes.
At RV Repair Bear. Woo-hoo. All right, so it's just the two of us. We don't have that song queued up, do we? A little just the two of us.
Yeah. So we've got the APB out on Jimmy Ha. So
we're missing you,
if
Jimmy.
any of you know him,
we're missing
can
you.
find him, tell him he needs to call us.
Waiting for you.
But in the meantime,
we have a phone number, right? Because we put out Zoom, but hey,
you're right. You can call.
What's the phone number?
855-77-WYLDE.
855. So Jimmy or anybody from the shack, 855-77-WYLDE with a Y, not with an I.
So in the meantime, we had a story. I think Scott's going to bring it up here on the screen. We were going to talk about this a couple weeks ago.
We're always talking about the live music experience.
Yes.
You know, like that's something that we emphasize, and in the spirit of Jimmy Ha and the Local Palooza event on July 22nd, that's what we're kind of continuing to talk about.
Right.
So we know our approaches to live events, like what we do when we get there, right? When you walk in, like what's one of the first things you do after your ticket's scanned?
Well, maybe go to the bathroom.
So,
but if not,
after you've made yourself comfortable, then
checked out the merch.
We check out the merch, and then
we go to the bar.
We tend to get a beverage, right?
True.
That's usually a time modern pattern to the approach of a music event,
which usually comes
the only responsible thing to do.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Because the irresponsible part is all the beverages we consume before we get there. But so, this article's been out on a couple of different online portals.
Yeah.
Talking about how the Gen Z generation.
We're not Gen Zs. We're X's.
We are X's.
We're like 2 letters ahead of this.
We're not soft.
And Mr. Salisbury there, the voice of Salisbury, it'd be interesting to hear his take because he
Absolutely.
is the club owner on this conversation.
Yep.
He's the one making the money off the beverages that we're purchasing.
Yeah, so, the headline kind of says Gen Z drinking habits are killing concerts.
Yeah.
And really talks about the fact that the Gen Zers are not
following the pattern that I just described.
Correct.
They may be coming in and going to the bathroom after they've had their ticket and then checking out the merch and then just simply walking down to the seats.
Now it does
trying to sneak vapes in.
I was about to say there might have been other substance choices that they're imbibing in.
It does allude in the article that yes, there may be some pre-gaming going on,
right,
and that they're being more frugal,
right,
and not choosing, which some of the bigger venues we go to, it's a little pricey,
yeah,
but other substances of choice,
right,
they may be. Maybe imbibing it, as you said. So, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously a part of the money that goes into the concert industry is fueled by alcohol and Monster Energy also as well. Monster Energy, our sponsor.
True.
I had to throw that out there then. Right, exactly.
Scott's flagged on the cheers thing.
So I think the one thing that we keep talking about too is ticket prices and the escalation of ticket pricing and that going up. So if you're losing money and income and other revenues in other places, such as album sales, and then at an event such as then beverage sales or other consumables that are not being purchased, then I think that maybe there's that focus to then raise the ticket prices because that revenue stream has to continue.
Yeah, that's sort of the chicken and the egg argument.
Right.
Are you raising prices on tickets because they're not drinking, or are they not drinking because ticket prices are going higher?
That's very true, too.
Ticket prices are going... Basically, the general format for years was always try and price the tickets so that you can pay the band and then you make your money off of the bar and food.
Right.
That's how a lot of the clubs operated. Now, bands are getting more expensive.
Yeah.
Everything's getting more expensive. And that scenario is harder to work out. So if the club is going to stay open, it's got to make money somewhere.
Sure.
So it's got to raise ticket prices if they're not going to come in and buy food and drinks at the bar. So it's, one way or the other.
Right.
But the problem is a lot of the bands now are trying to do splits. So then that's still cutting out if the band gets the majority of the split.
Right.
And you raise the ticket prices, they're getting that, and you're not able to compensate for the lack of sales. So
right.
It's a tough situation.
It is. It is.
Unless you bring kicks.
Right. And, there's different approaches that I've seen, like different kind of like experiences and maybe experiments with this. I think Kid Rock is the one that I remember, that basically wanted to sell everything cheap. And so instead of trying to then raise ticket pricing for seats closer to the stage, it was just a bulk price. Basically, I think it was anywhere from $30 to $40. First come, first serve. Then I guess the philosophy was there'd be more money to spend in the event. And then in the event, he then contracted pricing for beer and macrobrew, not microbrew beer, to be $5 a beer. And I have to say that there was a lot more drinking that happened at that show as a result, because you just had a cheap ticket price and then you had cheaper beverages. So then more of that was being sold. Now that didn't stick, right? That was one tour that he did that on. But,
I think it's tough. I mean, if you're just selling more beer and making the same amount of money, it brings a lot more headaches.
Right.
People are just pounding down drinks, and
right.
You've got to have the balance for everybody.
Right.
So it's not so expensive that they can't afford it. It can't be so cheap that the business doesn't make any money. That's why everybody's not doing it, because you got to figure it out.
Right.
Well, and if you oversell the venue, like a couple of shows we've been to, that drives down the drinking too.
Yes, you can't literally.
It's challenging in a club,
right,
to get to back and forth to the bar and be with the group that you're there with, without some stuff probably getting stirred up.
Yes, I went to another festival, Sweet Life Festival. This is probably anywhere probably 7-8 years ago. And that was held at Merriweather, and there was a lot of Gen Z bands that were there, but there was also a lot of older acts. Blondie was there. It was mainly an alt-rock show. I was going for Wolf Alice, so I'll give them a little plug on this show. So if you've never heard Wolf Alice, they're a great kind of a grunge style band. They're a good throwback to some good, really kind of authentic 90s grunge. And when we were watching them, so not only did they really kind of steer away at that festival from alcohol sales in its entirety, they steered away from soda sales. They shut down the sale of soda, considering that really kind of a bad habit, for people to imbibe in, so to speak, and then pushed boxed water, seltzers, and then I guess is another money-making kind of piece. There were rest areas and nap areas. So they were literally nap compartments. So
safe rooms
crawl into. Exactly. You could crawl into. They're kind of stacked up, like a shelving unit, and that you could crawl into and then rest, while the festival is happening. And then you would rent that, so to speak, while everything was going on.
Very appropriate for the Gen Zers.
And that's what I'm saying. That was an extreme Gen Z approach, because they didn't even necessarily eliminate the alcohol, but they eliminated the soda on top of it, too.
Very Gen Z, yeah.
Right? And that was stunning for us, that, attended that.
They just need to don't be so soft and just pound them down.
Kevin's got some strong feelings about this. Yeah.
Gen X would have been trying to sneak into those pods and do things. Boys and girls, that is. That
might have been discussed.
Yeah.
That might have been, noticed, by those Gen Xers that were in attendance that day.
Particularly if they couldn't get into the restrooms.
There was another Gen Xer I know that happened to bring her own whiskey in, so was looking for a little mixer, but then when they stopped selling the sodas, the mixer stopped happening. So They had to go straight. They had to like really toughen up.
Wow.
Old West style.
Nice.
So yeah,
So we're still waiting, huh?
nothing from our man Jimmy Haha yet.
Where's the cricket sound effect?
We got the sad trombone.
Like it's quiet.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
All right. Well, we'll take another break. We'll do our thing. We'll reach out, make sure that this, do our best to get Jimmy on the line and see what happens in the next 2 minutes.
And if not, we may be coming back and Scott may be trying to quiz us.
All right. I love it.
Be right back.